We're gonna start singing here.
Sweet, don't say it. Live from Japan, it is us, the Star Wars Stuff Podcast, together again. The original two members,
which is really weird because we haven't been in a room podcasting together. I mean, it's been a year because we did do it Space Con. No, we did do Space Con. But before that, it's been a long time. But yeah, once upon a time, David and I used to podcast in the same room together. And then I moved to LA. And then so now we are in Japan and we get to hang out together. So yeah, today was day one of Star Wars Celebration Japan. We had a pretty early morning. What time? We woke up around 7 a.m.
Right.
Good thing you can't see our hotel room right now. It's a mess. It's a big mess. But yeah, we woke up at 7 a.m. We went down to the celebration, where celebration is. And luckily, it's like a 5-minute walk, if that. It's just right across the street. And the hotel we're at is like the hotel for people attending celebration. Yesterday, before celebration, the line to check in, somebody figured out was like 2 hours long to check into the hotel. I checked in on Wednesday night, and there was hardly just me and like maybe 20 other people trying to check in. David, that was the poster falling. I got a poster down here. I'll show you. David flew in, and he just walks in, scans his passport, comes upstairs, and then that was it. And then we went down to the lobby, and there was just this long line of people. But anyways, so today was the day one of Star Wars Celebration Japan, and the first thing that started was the Mandalorian and Grogu panel. And I was very fortunate enough to go into the actual celebration stage. David, you went to the Galaxy stage. And in case people don't know, explain to them about the Galaxy stage and all that, and the Twin Suns stages and all that.
So the Galaxy stage, of course, is the second biggest stage, and everyone wants the celebration stage because that's where you get to see it live and in person. I won the reservation for the Galaxy stage for the Mando and Grogu panel. I predicted that we were going to get more stuff aside from just Mando and Grogu, and we did. But to get there was very kind of confusing. But then again, if I think back to London, they did it the same way. The way you enter is just with everybody. Mm-hmm. And once you get in with everybody, you go through a security check, and they will send you through some bars that will glow red if they suspect you have something. But of course, we flew from America, so we went through customs and TSA and stuff, so we have absolutely nothing on us. So it went pretty smoothly. James, of course, didn't win any panels except for
I got the Twin Sun stage for Andor for tomorrow, and that's all I got.
So James's strategy was to go in the standby line, try and get in there that way. So we split up, and we probably should have done that. But I ran into someone, and I believe his name is Mr. Upton, and we kind of tag team trying to figure out where the best place was to go to get to the Galaxy stage to watch the Mando Grogu panel. It was all kinds of confusing. So we're in Japan Live, of course, and most of the celebration workers are Japanese. So they don't know English. We're trying to communicate with them. They're trying to communicate with us. And of course, there's all the traditional words that Americans know, but trying to get directions from someone, it's very, very difficult to convey. They basically were just pulling out the map and just pointing where to go, but it's so confusing. There's multiple levels, multiple stairs, multiple bridges, and you just walk around the entire thing to get to a big parking lot area where everyone's supposed to gather, and then you go under the convention, around it. You do a U-turn back around to get inside, and it's on the first floor. So when you walk up there, you're on the second floor. Very confusing, very odd, but we got into our respective Mando and Grogu panels, and I guess we want to talk about what we saw.
Yeah, it was. It started off really well. They showed a really great sizzle reel of Star Wars projects. It was pretty much the whole saga, all 9 movies plus Solo, Rogue One, and all the other Disney projects.
I want to say that's one of the big highlights of Celebration. Getting that first sizzle reel. It's a remix of all of our favorite scenes, favorite lines, with a kind of remix type of John Williams music behind it in a way you've never seen it before. And it's very sad that Lucasfilm doesn't release this to the public.
It doesn't make any sense
in some format.
Yeah.
There needs to be like, I know we don't do this anymore, but like a box set of Blu-rays or something where they have each celebration's video material and you can buy that. And of course they can make money, because for the past 3 celebrations I think I've been to, it's brought tears to my eyes.
Yeah.
And it's powerful, man. It is very powerful with the bass. They got deep bass. It's in 4K, crystal clear. You're around Star Wars friends and family and people are cheering. It's celebration. It is powerful, man. It gets you back to why you love Star Wars. And it's just incredible, man. I loved it.
No, I agree. It started off, and of course the Lucasfilm logo was the 1999 Lucasfilm logo. So it was like the green logo that popped
I didn't
up.
notice that.
And
That's awesome.
that got me excited because I was like, ooh, okay, we're getting back to the old school.
But we got to talk about the first image.
What was the first
thing?
What was the first?
It was a black screen of the Princess Leia hologram.
Oh, that's right.
Talking to Obi-Wan, and it had Japanese subtitles, and it was a black screen with just the hologram. And I had never seen anything like that before.
It was really cool. And you see the light where like R2D2 would be shining, would be projecting the hologram. And yeah, and then the video started. And like David said, it gets pretty emotional because it's Star Wars. You're watching Star Wars, you're around Star Wars fans, and it's such a powerful video that they show of the sizzle reel of the saga. And yeah, when it was over, I noticed I was kind of like wiping my eyes a little bit because I was like, man, this is so great. And plus it was cool to be back at Celebration. And the first persons they brought onto the stage, of course, were Dave Filoni and Kathleen Kennedy, which was really cool. I was like, oh my gosh. And everybody was cheering, I love you, Dave. And people were like, I love you, Kathy. And so like everybody was really, really happy that they were there.
So did you think there was maybe going to be an announcement of like a shift in power?
Oh no.
Well, they announced Dave Filoni first. And the crowd went crazy, and then they announced Kathleen Kennedy second. And the way it felt to me, there was maybe going to be like a special announcement. And I was like, oh my gosh, are they going to do this? Because my opinion is Dave Filoni doesn't want to be president of Lucasfilm.
No, he does not.
I mean, he's a creative. Liam McCallan, what's up, Liam? Don't know if I'm more jealous of you, Peter Ben, or that beard James has.
I think I gotta say, or the
he
fact
shaved this morning.
So fun thing, I was down in the lobby at our hotel and I ran into this woman somebody was talking to, and I just hear her whisper, please tell me he cosplays as Ezra.
And I'm over here choking James. You see, James, it's not just
so
us on the
apparently
podcast.
I have to podcast. I have to cosplay as Ezra. Hold on, before we go on, Noah says the trailer for Mando Grogu got leaked online. Looks pretty sweet. Still not crazy. Okay, so we're gonna get to that.
Really good, man.
And then Mariana's on here. You guys are lucky you don't. Oh, I see. You don't have to take the train tonight. Yeah. Oh no. That sounds like a horrible thing. And then we got Darth Ace 1 in the house. Howdy, boys. Thank you so much for joining us.
We didn't say thank you to our Patreon members.
We didn't.
We're so hyped.
We're so hyped. But yeah, so Dave Filoni and Kathleen Kennedy came out and they talked about a little bit about the state of what Star Wars is. And one thing that was really interesting was she said, we have projects in the works. A project by James Mangold, project by Charmaine Chinoy.
Yeah, confirm that still go.
And so that's still a go. Kathleen Kennedy herself.
Taika?
And then she said Taika. And what was
like,
funny,
whoa.
you hear people in the audience go, what? You're like, but yeah, she mentioned Taika Waititi. Yeah. And then she got to the fourth one. And she said, and of course we have to mention Sean Levy. And Sean Levy walked out onto the stage. And I wasn't expecting that to happen.
And Dave's movie too.
Oh, and Dave Filoni's film. But yeah, they mentioned Sean Levy. He comes out on stage, and of course we all know he's directed many films, Real Steel for one, and of course the latest big hit, Deadpool and Wolverine. And he was talking about how excited he is being Star Wars. And apparently he and Kathleen Kennedy have been speaking through the years about doing a Star Wars project.
They said 2022, right? Was the first time they kind of really got serious about it?
Yeah, he said 2022 was when they got really serious about it. And then a couple of months, probably a year ago, he got the call from her saying, she was like, let's go, we're doing this. And so, of course, that's every director's dream to hear from a producer saying we are going. And one thing he did confirm, and we were there in the room, was he was like, it's not in development. this movie is going into production in fall, which means all the wheels are turning right now for this project. It's no longer they're just talking about it. This movie is going to be starting production in fall. And then, of course, he addressed a rumor, which we heard about a month ago, which was Ryan Gosling was in talks to star in the Sean Levy film. And of course, I sent it to David, I sent it to Colin, and it was like, interesting. I wonder if that's actually going to happen. And then he comes out on stage, he goes, okay, we're here to address the rumors. And one of the rumors was Ryan Gosling is going to be in the film. He goes, I'm here to finally settle once and for all that rumor is 100% true. And then Ryan Gosling walked down on stage. I never thought I'd ever be in a room with Ryan Gosling. He had a hat on that said, never tell me the odds. And
James saw him live. He was there.
I was in the room,
like 50 yards away from him.
Yeah, I was pretty close to him. It was pretty cool. And so hearing Gosling talk about Star Wars, and David knew this. I kind of forgot this fact. Gosling is a huge Star Wars fan. I mean, he talked about how Star Wars is really what made him realize what movies are, like when he first watched Star Wars.
I think he's about age.
Yeah, I think he's about your age.
Yeah.
And he talked about how, of course, Kathleen Kennedy mentioned that his mother, Ryan Gosling's mother, had sent a picture, and it was his bed sheets that he had when he was 5, and it was Star Wars. And so, yeah, he sounded really excited for this project, and Gosling is no joke. Gosling is one of those actors that I've always loved. I forget which movie I saw him in that I was like, this guy's got what it takes.
Blade Runner 2049 for me. He did a really great job.
I think for me it was Drive. When I saw him in Drive,
I've yet to see that movie.
I think when I saw him in that movie, the subtlety, because he doesn't really talk a lot in that movie. His eyes and his performance was just did all the work. And so, yeah, it was really cool to hear them talk about it. So the movie does take place after Rise of Skywalker, an era we don't know. Sean Levy said there's whole new characters. It's going to be a whole new set of characters, a whole new adventure that we haven't seen before. And what was really crazy, this is what got me, was they said, okay, I think we need to give them more. I thought we were going to get like a picture of Gosling in his costume for some odd reason. I don't know what I thought we were going to get.
Right, but they mentioned they haven't shot.
But yeah, but they haven't shot anything. So I was like, what could they give us?
Maybe like, I don't know, like mock-ups, like drawings of
concept art.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, was concept art of something, because Star Wars is not known for doing this. And they did it, which they dropped the title for his new film, which is called Star Wars Starfighter. And everybody went crazy because and David and I were just talking about this at dinner. He was like, what does that mean to you? Because David is like, what did you say? Like, Starfighter means what to you?
It means you're going to get a lot of space battles. You're going to get a lot of like dogfights, going back. Hopefully it's going back to the original trilogy, and where they use the old World War II animatics to do dogfighting. That would be terrific. And it's really what I thought we were going to get with Rogue Squadron, which was a movie we should have gotten a few years back.
She did not mention that at all.
Right.
She didn't mention Rogue Squadron at all. So that one's gone, I think.
Well, they said it's on the shelf, so who knows? But the big rumor is that there's 5 films, but you mentioned 5 films.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe those are the finite 5 films that are greenlit, and maybe we have some in like possible pre-production.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, they didn't mention anything else but Star Wars Starfighter, which the title, all the old heads are going to think about The Last Starfighter, and that's kind of what I thought of. The Last Starfighter, the old school sci-fi.
That movie's awesome, though, man. That movie's so badass.
It is, but it's one of those titles. It's kind of bland, but it also kind of works too.
Oh yeah.
And once we see the film, hopefully it's fast, intense, the way I hope it is. A lot of sirens in Japan.
Sorry
if you hear the sirens.
If you don't hear the wind,
an ambulance, right?
I think it's an ambulance. Yeah. Good thing you don't hear the wind, because we're at this. I think the wind only happens from a certain time, but the wind shoots right through these buildings, and
so the wind was almost knocking us off our feet yesterday.
It was bad because we're only like less than a mile away from the ocean, from the bay right there. So that wind just cuts right through. But anyways, so yeah, that was really exciting. The fact that they showed us the title Star Wars Starfighter starring Ryan Gosling, and it kind of hit me that this is, maybe one of the first Star Wars movies with a huge name as the headliner. I mean, Liam Neeson was pretty big when he did The Phantom Menace, because he had just come off of Schindler's List and a few other films, and Oscar nominated actor. But with this one, it was like, oh my gosh, Ryan Gosling is a very known actor in the world. And so I think Lucasfilm is hoping that he brings that crowd in, because he's a very, like I say, he's a very well respected actor. And of how, depending on how it looks, I think it's going to be exciting. And when he left, they had a ship. They had something like a prop in the background as they were leaving.
Yeah,
And it looked like his ship, but it was. I haven't seen any pictures of it. I haven't seen any.
I thought at first it was like an X-wing parked in the back or something.
It might be, but it was you really couldn't see the shape of it. And I was like, what is that? So Ryan Gosling went from the movie Drive to Starfighter. So he's moving on up in his traveling. Oh, yeah, he was First Man. He's flown in space before. But then, so that was exciting. The fact that we thought we were only getting a Mando and Grogu panel, which I'm about to say, I think it makes sense, because this panel, we'll get into what they said about Mando and Grogu. This panel ended 20 minutes early. It was a very short panel, like 10:40, 10:45. It was done. DJ Elliott was coming on stage, and everybody was just kind of like, "Oh, that was it," because they really didn't have much for Mando and Grogu, and it was really strange. They didn't. Pedro Pascal and Sigourney Weaver were there, which was exciting. We got to see behind the scenes footage of Pedro as well as Sigourney Weaver. And Sigourney Weaver is wearing an X-Wing pilot outfit. She's wearing an X-Wing pilot uniform. And I was
nice pop in the crowd with that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And then they were like, they said something interesting, and David caught it. I caught it, but it didn't register until he brought it up just now. And you want to tell him so Favreau, Filoni, Kathleen Kennedy, Sigourney Weaver, and Pedro Pascal were the only ones on the panel. So go for it.
Yeah, I love when Favreau comes out because he kind of goes off script. It's improv, and he's one of us. He's a big time Star Wars fan. But yeah, he mentioned the fact that he wanted to do the celebration because the next time, I guess celebration time, the movie will already be out. So that kind of tells us that there might not be a celebration in 2026 next year, that we might head right on into the 50th anniversary celebration in 2027.
Which is crazy because Mando and Grogu is coming out next year.
Right. Like, traditionally, you have a film, a big film, and then you have a celebration to kind of promote it.
So yeah, it sounds like they're not going to do celebration next year for 2026, and that we're going to be getting celebration 2027. Rumors I've been hearing, mind you guys, these are just rumors. Don't take this, take this with a grain of salt. Is that how it says?
We'll know Sunday, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll know Sunday, hopefully. But the rumor is Anaheim is the next city, which does make sense. And David has been actually saying this from the beginning, which is if you do a 50th anniversary, you kind of want George Lucas there. You want Mark Hamill. You want Harrison Ford.
Want
John Williams there. And man, I saw John Williams in a video not too long ago, and he was in a wheelchair. You know what I mean? It's like these guys, they're getting old. It's happening. They got old. I saw an interview with George Lucas for the Light and Magic panel, which I'll get into. And you hear his voice, and I'm like, oh man, George Lucas is sounding much older now. And it was really rough to hear. But the fact that these actors are older, these filmmakers are older, it's easier for them to go from their houses in LA, Burbank to Anaheim for the celebration. So we're thinking, and the rumor is 2027 celebration will be in Anaheim. And so that was the
kind of has to be.
It has to be. David caught it. It didn't really hit me. So one thing that was interesting is Favreau says, okay, we're a year out, so we really don't have a trick.
I don't think they heard that.
They didn't hear. So David has text tone is Yoda laughing, and so I just hear.
It's not a text tone; it's a notification
tone. Oh, sorry. Yeah. But yeah, it's Yoda laughing, and I wasn't expecting that. But anyways, so he said we don't have a trailer because we're still a year out, but we can show you some stuff. And what they showed us was a clip of the movie Mandalorian and Grogu.
It's a great clip.
And it's probably online already, so we're not going to spoil, you know what I mean? But what it was it was an AT-AT and
AT-AT?
Yeah. It was an AT-AT. And did you notice it was one shot? It was one of those.
Yeah.
It was one of those cool little movement. The camera moved, and you see the troopers in the back of the AT-AT, and you hear the commander saying like, "All right, guys, get ready. I think we're about to be attacked." And then so the camera goes into the cabin of the AT-AT, and then you see the door break open. Mando comes in and Mando starts wrecking house. It was freaking awesome. And
An
it was
array of moves that
Dude,
I don't think
yeah.
that we've seen in a certain combination that he did, like
throwing
spins.
knives,
Yeah,
shooting.
he threw a knife, pulled it back out, reused it, shot the face mask off of a snowtrooper, and then it punched him, I think.
Yeah, no, the other one I liked was when he shot the whatever was hanging above them. Like he shot the thing and it
Yeah, he
lands
shot the thing and it lands on
and
the
it lands on a
snowtrooper.
snowtrooper.
Yeah.
And so
he also shot a snowtrooper and he like flew like 6 feet.
yes.
It's like, whoa.
And it was so cool. And like it was one of those things where it's all one take, it's all one shot. So the camera's moving forward and it starts moving back as he's coming towards the door where the AT-AT Walker and the pilots are. And then the door shuts and you just see the commander just staring like he's like, okay, and everyone laughs, and then the AT-AT explodes. And as it's exploding, you see Mando flying out on the jetpack, and it crumbles, it falls, it explodes. And sorry,
James is going to defuse a bomb here in Japan.
And
there's a caravan of AT-ATs on a cliff edge. One of them explodes, falls down. Epic scene, looks great. And the other thing, if you didn't pick up on this, is that Favreau talked about building physical sets for this movie.
yes,
They are not confined to the volume. That was a big takeaway for me.
and they shot on IMAX for some of these
Yes.
sequences. So I was like, oh, yes. And so, yeah. And the pictures they were showing us, the behind the scenes pictures, there was a few, but most of it was about this set, was about this AT-AT sequence.
And I talked about showing the inside of an AT-AT.
Yes, which we've only seen in a video game.
Right.
So we get to finally see what the inside of
And
an AT-AT
Filoni
is.
kept on saying, I loved it. I can't believe I get paid to do this.
And they showed a picture of him. He looked, you know how they say he looks like a little kid? He
Yeah.
legitimately looked like a little kid because they took a picture of him behind the controls of the AT-AT and he's looking back smiling. And he was like, I get paid to do this. And
those
I was like, cool.
AT-AT pilots look pretty cool.
I love them. The white, yeah.
Yeah. It's like a riff on like the TIE pilot and a stormtrooper.
And Noah Richter says, I could have sworn I saw a stormtrooper leg get. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was. I was just too busy in my brain thinking like, wait, this is one of those one take things they really haven't done in Star Wars.
Gosh.
And
Wow,
and the only other time I think it was really noticeable was in Solo when they're escaping Kessel and they do the whole throwing the gun
okay.
and then running up the ramp and then getting in the cockpit of the Falcon.
Okay.
But yeah, this was really cool. And then they did show like maybe like a 20 or 30 second like kind of sizzle reel of the movie Mando and Grogu, which I didn't think was going to happen. I thought once the AT-AT exploded, that was going to be it. But then we got to see some pretty cool footage. And one of the things that caught my eye was Grogu swimming underwater.
Yes, there was a shot of Grogu swimming.
Dude, and it looked cool. Like it didn't look funny. Like
it didn't look CGI either. It looked like it was
it looked like it was
swimming.
it was cool. Like it was one of those sequences that I was like, oh my gosh. And we see him, there's a mouse droid coming toward him. It's like a altered mouse droid. It's like a little bit bigger, racing towards him, and he uses the force and breaks it apart. And
I don't think it was bigger. I think it had a Tonka trunk.
so it was a little bit high.
So it was lifted, and there's people that actually make these mouse droids already from the 501st that you'll see sometimes driving around at cons. So they're like all terrain mouse droids.
So yeah, that's what it was.
Which makes sense, yeah, for that.
He blows it up, and some of the debris comes towards him, and he just like slides out of the way. And I was like,
the wheel.
Yeah.
I
was like, that was dope, man. And we got our first look at Jabba the Hutt's son.
Well, hold on. Grogu spoke a little bit.
He does kind of go like he did. He
vocalized a little bit.
There. I think we might
hear
like
him. A baby.
Yeah, I think we're going to hear him say some words in this movie because he did. There's two times in this reel where he did kind of like his mouth was moving and just the baby talk was coming out. Yeah. But it was like, I don't know, maybe we might get that voice. We might get that for those first words of Grogu. And the last shot was of Jabba the Hutt's son in an arena, and it's a built hut.
The arms, you could see like the muscle tone in the arms. It, of course, had a hut body, a little thinner. But when you hear the description online, when we had that rumor months ago, it sounds ridiculous, a jacked hut,
but it worked.
You could tell, it worked. It looked good, and of course, Jeremy Allen White
is
the rumor
Yeah.
that he is the voice, or is it confirmed?
I think it was
Variety talked about it.
Yeah,
right?
Variety
Okay.
talked about it, so I think it's confirmed.
So yeah, interesting voice cast choice.
He's great. He's great. Though,
I think it's gonna work. It looks interesting. It was we just saw the back of him with his arms raised. So
So it looks like he's like in an arena fighting.
it looked like he won like a gladiator match or
And
something.
Grogu's sitting there watching him eating like some popcorn
Yeah.
or something. and that's where it ended. And it was so cool. It
Yeah.
was so great. They released we've seen the logo, but they showed kind of the logo, what it's called, Star Wars, The Mandalorian, and Grogu.
Mhm.
And then, like I said, it was like 10:40. The thing started at 10, and they were like, all right, thank you. And we were just like, that's it. So they really didn't have a lot for the panel, which is why I think they brought in Sean Levy and Ryan Gosling for Starfighter, because they really didn't have a lot for that panel. I guess that a lot of the cast couldn't make it to Japan for that panel. But I can say now, I have been in a room with Sigourney Weaver. She is amazing. She's Ripley from, Alien. Probably the second most badass character in movies, behind probably Leia. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
she did look good in that pilot outfit there.
So the first clips we see of her from the sizzle reel, what was her in in a uniform with the badges, the badges. So it looks like she is a part of the New Republic. And then the pictures we saw was her in her X-wing pilot. outfit.
It almost feels like it's going to be that cliche where she's behind the desk. And then when we hit the end of the movie, she puts on the pilot uniform and gets in there and just like kicks ass.
So I'm so excited to see that.
We're gonna get a Sigourney Weaver taking control and killing the aliens.
Oh yeah, she's gonna have a weapon that shoots something out and then retracts really quickly. That'd be pretty cool.
Gosh.
But yeah, she looked really cool. And she seems excited about it, but she did, I will admit, she did tell the truth that she had never seen Mandalorian until Favreau was talking to her about it. Then she went and watched the seasons and said she fell in love with it, and that's why she did it. Hold on, wait. We got Noah. How fast do you think a yoked Hutt can move around? We'll see, man. We're going to see how fast he can move, and I think it's going to be really interesting. Sequence, but that was all we got from Mando and Grogu. And when I was leaving, people were talking. I heard people talking, and they were like, "That's it." They're like, "That was peak. I'm gonna go home now." A lot of people were so satisfied with what they saw, and it was, like I said, it was really entertaining to get that footage that we did. And I'm surprised we even got, like I said, we got that sizzle reel afterward. There is going to be a picture online you'll probably see of Mando with Zeb. So Zeb is officially he was already in Mandalorian season 3.
He just costs too much.
Yeah,
they couldn't stick him in the TV show.
No, he is in this movie and he's walking next to Mando. So that's cool. I'm excited to see Zeb. And
we've seen him piloting the Razor Crest still as well. So it looks like he has a lot to do.
I'm really excited to see how his character goes from Rebels to Mandalorian, and now Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yeah.
And then after that, I went to the show floor. I ran into Mariana, who was our patron, her and her husband. I finally got to meet them, and it was great. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm meeting a celebrity. And because she's been giving us a lot of advice for the Japan trip. And so it was
big shout out to her.
So it was so nice.
She gave us a lot of good advice, and I took advantage of some of it that I had to take advantage of.
No, I definitely the customs, getting the QR code. She sent us the link.
Big time. That was big time. Yeah. I don't like writing on pieces of little note card and reading all that stuff. And she gave us a big hand.
So it was great to finally meet her in person. And so then David did something ridiculous today. What do you mean? What do you mean? Oh, how did you forget what you did?
So my plan was to go to Mando Grogu Galaxy Stage. That's a reservation that I won. Then go straight to the Celebration store. There's a long queue outside. I think I spent about 2-3 hours in line, and I got sunburnt. I mean, I'm red. You might not be able to tell, but the queue, once it was done outside, you came inside, and there was another longer line inside to wait. And I think I spent maybe 6 hours in line waiting for the Celebration store. But I got a few things that I really wanted. pins primarily, but yeah, it was nuts. About 50 people behind me. Once they got in, they shut the store down for the day, and I think it was maybe 3 o'clock they did that. But of course, there's a massive amount of people just waiting there and spent hours in line and got denied. So I was actually kind of lucky. And shout out to Haley, and I believe his name's Aaron, right? He's helped us out a lot. He actually is a VIP, and he was able to do the early shopping. He picked up some items for Colin and myself. So shout out to him, of course, and shout out to Haley for helping that all out. But yeah, I saw them later on, and they helped me out as well in the store. They knew their way around, and I bought some more stuff. So all in all, I didn't spend too much in the Celebration store.
Which is really surprising, gotta say, because
well,
people can go crazy. I went crazy in Chicago at the Celebration
some
store.
Of the shelves are bare. There's a lot of T-shirts, but there's a lot of people. So I really couldn't accurately just like look at each shirt. And then people were doing this thing where they would form lines when they didn't have to. Just go up to the front. And then I could hear people talking about, well, the reason why this line is taking so long is because people are cutting. But I mean, you didn't notice the line because all you could do is look at the stuff. And you saw people going up to the merchants, which were all mostly, I want to say like 80% Japanese and only could speak Japanese. So that was tough. Another situation where there's a language barrier and you would use your sign language and that type of thing. But that's why it also took longer. So I did it. Maybe that's the very last time I do that type of thing, because after this, I almost want to say, if I don't get VIP in the future, I'm not going to Celebration, man.
Yeah,
it is rough.
It is
and I'm not
really rough.
getting any younger, man.
Yeah, don't say that. Well, I was a little bit.
You sat down all day.
I did sit down all day because I
stood up.
I really wanted to go to the Light and Magic panel, which was at the Celebration store. So I staged. So I ended up going right back to the. Are you gonna show people?
Yeah, I'm gonna show people some.
All right,
stuff.
so to be continued.
I got that. It's a pen, Jabba, and Salacious Crumb.
Oh, that's weird.
I got the artwork. Vader.
Closer. A little closer.
It's gonna take us out of focus and stuff. And I got the Luke pen. I got the set of Ahsoka there. No Ahsoka though. And I got the Mando pin set, and I got a couple shirts, and yeah, that's pretty much all I got. But Aaron helped me out and got me 4 mystery packs, so I have more pins on the way. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm a pin guy, so
I'm a shirt guy, which is why I don't want to go into the store, because those shirts.
There's a lot of shirts.
They'll add up really quick, because you'll see one like, oh, I like this, and before you know it, you're spending $400, which is what happened in Chicago.
Yeah.
But so I ended up going to the Celebration stage to watch the Light and Magic panel, which was hosted by Sam Witwer, which was cool because Sam Witwer is a huge Star Wars fan, and he's a huge fan of ILM, which just sounds weird. I mean, I am too. I think a lot of us are, but it was really cool to hear him like looking at Doug Chang, John Knoll, and being like, Doug, when you did this, and you could see in his face like he was genuinely wanting to know the answer. Like it wasn't just like, oh, I'm reading, no, he was like, so when you did this, man. So it was a really great panel. Highlighting season 2 of Light and Magic, which is already out. I didn't know it was. So yeah, it's already out. So if you want to watch it, do it.
Whitwer needs to be a creative person at the top, maybe not a head. I think he can kind of rise to that, but
yeah,
he knows more Star Wars than most hardcore Star Wars fans, and he's of course Star Killer. So I mean, he knows his stuff. And I would love to see him in a higher up position. But
it was great. It was, like I said, watching him do the panel was really, really nice. He was really like energetic and really fun. Ahmed Best was there because Ahmed Best, of course, is very important. And we've talked about this for years of how important Ahmed Best was for ILM, because he was the first fully functional main character CG person, which we've had CG people. Terminator had a quick shot of the T-1000. James Cameron messed around with CG people for Titanic, but then we have this guy who's completely computer generated doing this performance, and he's on camera interacting with people, and that had never been done before. And I think a lot of people kind of forget that in 1999, Jar Jar was the most insane thing George Lucas probably could have created for Star Wars. And so they talked a lot about that process. And one thing Ahmed Best said which was really nice. He was like, I get a lot of the attention for Jar Jar. He was like, but Rob Coleman, John Knoll, ILM, he goes, they are the ones who did it. So it was really cool that he gave the credit where credit is due, that these guys did this crazy task of bringing Jar Jar to life. And then Rob Coleman was there. And if you haven't seen the making of like Phantom and Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, watch it, because he's in there very prevalent, because he was the animation director for the prequels. And he talked a lot about, when he came up to George and said, we might be able to do Yoda. Or no, he told them we can do Yoda, because George wanted to do the fight. And which I never knew, but that was kind of the thing, was George Lucas had always wanted to do a Yoda fight, but couldn't figure out how to do it. And I think the original talk, from what I understood, was it was going to be a CG Yoda for the fight, and that was going to be it. But then Rob Coleman said, I think we can do performance of Yoda CG, and which was really cool. I never knew that was like the process that it took to get to that point.
So they performance captured Yoda?
No, he was CG, completely CG.
Oh,
but they were going to use a puppet for the movie. But then when he came to fighting,
impossible.
but then when it came to the fight, that's what I was saying. So when it came to the fight, that was when he was going to be CG. But Rob Coleman said we can do CG the whole movie, and so he pitched that idea to George, and George Lucas said, "Yeah, I like it." But this was something I didn't know. And then Sam Witwer was like, "Okay." The Yoda fight, when that happened in theaters, and it's funny because you and I talked about it on Patreon about a month ago, about how crazy it was when the Yoda fight happened in episode 2, and the theater's reaction, because everybody was getting amped up, because you have the build up to the fight, and then when Yoda opens up his cloak, pulls out the lightsaber, I'll never forget people screaming in the theater because we were about to see something amazing. But when Rob Coleman was given the script, and everyone was given the script, it said something to the effect of, Yoda pulls out his lightsaber, and in words and in images that no words can describe, Yoda and Dooku fight. That is the line that George Lucas wrote. And Rob Coleman was like, hey, so what's this going to be? And then George Lucas was like, oh, that's your problem. Like, you figure that out. And
typical George.
They all have a great George Lucas impression, which is really funny. And then they said, Ahmed, you had something to do with the fight, which made me go, what do you mean Ahmed Best had something to do with the fight? And he said he read the same line in the script, and he saw Rob Coleman one day walking, and Rob Coleman was just like, he looked like he was stressed, and he was like, hey man, so how's the fight going? And Rob Coleman was like, I have no idea how we're going to do this fight. Like, he goes, I don't know what it's supposed to look like. I don't know how it's going to be. And then Ahmed Best said, hey, come to my dressing room. So they went to his dressing room, and Ahmed Best had a bunch of Japanese anime videos and movies that he watched. And I think they also watched a little bit of Jet Li and things like that. And he was like, we watch clips of fights in these movies, and we were like, Yoda has to move like this. Yoda has to do this. Yoda has to make this pose when he stops. And then they pulled out a piece of paper, and they started to kind of choreograph a fight. Ahmed Best and Rob Coleman started to choreograph how the fight would take place. And then that was it. And then Rob Coleman left, went to go talk to Nick Gillard, and they worked together. And Ahmed Best said he was kind of expecting nothing to come of that. So on the opening night of Attack of the Clones, he's there with everyone else, and he knows what's about to happen, because he hasn't seen it. But he was like, I knew it was going to happen. I knew the crowd was going to freak out. He goes, the fight comes up. Yoda pulls out the lightsaber. They start to fight, and then Ahmed Best said, and the planning that we did in my dressing room was showing up on the screen. And I was like, that is insane. He was like, Rob Coleman did not have to do that. He could have just thrown it out, but no, he goes, a lot of the stuff that we talked about was on screen. So Ahmed Best was kind of a choreographer for the Yoda fight in Attack of the Clones. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, and it was so
Did
cool.
you know that?
Did you know that?
Colin didn't know it.
Yeah.
James didn't know it. Dave
yeah.
didn't know it.
And it was so cool. And I was really glad Ahmed Best was there because, like we said, he's very important to digital effects from now until the end of time.
You think he's going to be a Mando Grogu movie?
I hope so.
You want to say he's going to Kelleran Beck, maybe Bo-Katan?
Oh, definitely Bo-Katan.
Who else is going to be in this movie?
I think we're going to get like Sabine. No, we're not going to get Sabine. I think we're going to get Hera. I think we're going to get Ezra. I think we're going to get a lot of those people are going to be popping up in this movie.
Yeah.
Thrawn, like it's going to be pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. And then, it was really cool because Ahmed Best was talking, and there's a video clips of them, which I've never seen before, of him and George Lucas watching Buster Keaton.
Oh, whoa.
So those videos, so we had heard that he had done the research, but there is actual footage of this process of them talking about Buster Keaton's performances and how he moved. And there's clips, and this was so crazy because there's clips of Buster Keaton running down this hill with all these rocks behind him. And I'm like, that's Jar Jar running away from the cannons, or the cannonballs and the Phantom Menace. Like, it's legitimately the same shot. And he said that him and George developed the movement for Jar Jar for like 2 years. Like he said, we were doing like 2 years of research before we even started filming the Phantom Menace. And so whenever George says Jar Jar is one of his favorite characters, he means it. Like, George Lucas spent a lot of time creating that character of Jar Jar Binks. Oh, he said, there's a line in the Phantom Menace. I read it. I had no idea what it meant. I asked George Lucas, and George said, well, what do you think it means? And he was like, what? He goes, you figure it out. And this is what Ahmed Best said was really cool. He goes, George Lucas gives you the opportunity to make it your own. He wants you to do your own thing to make it rise above what it could be. And he was like, he gives you the space to do that, to become that person. And which I was like, that's so cool. I never thought about it that way. He worded it much better than I just did. But so the line is when they're in the bongo. Mm-hmm. And he's describing what happened to how he got banished. He goes, so I crashed into boss's head libber, and he was like, okay, what is this? He goes, oh no, what does he say? He goes, like he pulled the gasser on and smashes the boss's head libber, and he's banished. He said the head libber was Boss Nass's ride. That was in his brain. He goes, that was Boss Nass's, like, he cussed a little bit. He goes, that's Boss Nass's badass ride that Jar Jar took. He pulled the gasser, meaning he went too fast and then broke the boss's head libber, and that's why he was banished. And so that was Ahmed Best's way of explaining that line, because he had no idea what it was, which is so funny because remember, Harrison Ford asking George Lucas, like, what does this mean? And George Lucas is like, just say it. Just say the line. And
you can type this.
Yeah, you can type stuff, but people need to be able to say this. So yeah, that was a great panel. They showed clips of Light and Magic, which, like I said, season 2 is out right now. Go watch it. Joe Johnston directed it. He directed, of course,
Captain America, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Jumanji, Jurassic Park 3, The Rocketeer.
The
Rocketeer is a great one,
and he's a tremendous director, as well as a tremendous artist.
Tremendous mind.
And he wrote, and he drew a lot of the. He
created Boba Fett.
Yeah. And he also did a lot of concept art for.
Trivia question: where did Boba Fett first debut?
It was a parade.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
It was a parade somewhere, and people thought that was Darth Vader's brother. That was the rumor. I mean, legitimately, because he's the character. I
heard new stormtrooper.
No, I heard it. People thought it was Darth Vader's brother
and white.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
And but yeah, that's so. Joe Johnston's got to be the director of this one, and it looks really cool. Hold on one second. We got some. Have y'all heard about Mads Mikkelsen's probably getting announced for? I thought that was already. Or
that was kind of assumed.
Yeah, I thought Mads Mikkelsen was already going to be in this.
That would make a lot of sense because
Why'd you say it like that?
I'm tired.
That makes a lot of sense now. You know?
It's my Texas accent coming out.
See, he doesn't believe us, but we know he does have a Texas accent.
Say in chat, do I have a Texas accent?
You just did it right now. You just did. Do I? You heard that. You all heard that, okay?
because I grew up on the ranch.
Yeah, I grew up on the ranch. But yeah, if anything, yeah, Mads Mikkelsen would probably be announced tomorrow at the Andor panel, which a lot of people are really pumped about. And it was cool because during the sizzle reel that David and I talked about, when Andor showed up, people went nuts.
It was a huge pop in the Galaxy Stage theater as well.
Yeah, because Andor's very important.
That's interesting. It's like
for Star Wars right now.
I would have never thought that the cheers would be as loud as they were for Diego Luna because they showed everybody.
Yeah, they showed everybody. And Diego Luna walking, everybody went crazy.
Did Andor get more cheers than Hayden?
I think it was okay. Honestly,
on par.
It was about equal.
Oh,
it was legitimately equal. Hayden gets cheers because it's Hayden Christensen.
Wow.
But man, when they showed Andor, people went nuts. So yeah, that's another thing. So which means tomorrow's panel is probably going to go crazy. And then after that, I text David. Hey, David, what are you doing? He's like, I'm still in line. So I was like, well, I'm going to go to the 20th panel for the animation, the Lucasfilm animation. So I got some pretty good seats. And Dave Filoni came out. And what was her name? I forgot her name. She was also on there. She's been a part of Lucasfilm for a long time with Dave Filoni. But anyways, they talked about the history of Sam Witwer during the Light and Magic panel said, Rob Coleman, he goes, I have to thank you because you had a hand in creating the Clone Wars. And he was like, yeah, which I was like, that's pretty cool. I never knew that. So yeah, Rob Coleman was one of the people who helped create and design, I believe, Clone Wars. But anyways, the Dave Filoni came out, talked about Clone Wars, and it just the importance that George Lucas and I think a lot of people forget that, but George Lucas was all over Clone Wars. Like every episode of Clone Wars went through George Lucas. Like everything you saw on Clone Wars, George Lucas approved. And there was a moment where Filoni got kind of emotional talking about George, and he was like, I always want to make sure I give George the best. I want to make sure he gets what he has in his brain. And he paused and I was like, oh damn, Dave Filoni's about to cry.
And I got to say this, I say this all the time, but when George Lucas at the 40th panel talked about creating Star Wars, they told him they couldn't do what he was asking for Clone Wars animation. And he goes, no, you're going to do it. You're going to figure it out and you're going to do it. And they did it. And nothing like that had ever been seen on TV at the time. And that is the way of Star Wars. They don't know how to do stuff. And they figure it out. They invent the technology.
Yep.
That's one of the many, many great subjects, topics, lessons. It's a way of life. It's a methodology. It's a credo that you got to kind of live by in a way, because there's times in life where you think you can't do something, you can't handle something, you think it's too much, but you can do it. And I think that's an important lesson. And that's maybe becoming the age that I am now. I'm 43. That's the biggest takeaway I think I have from George Lucas's legacy, is the fact that he didn't let things stop him. And I like the way he explained that at the 40th panel in 2017. And I was like, okay, well, that makes sense why Star Wars kind of persevered past everything at that moment in time, that they were able to do things that we've never seen before. And he just didn't accept the fact that it wasn't invented, or people thought he couldn't achieve it in the film. But
it's really wild to think of the Phantom Menace as being, and they talked about this at that panel, the Phantom Menace was one of the hardest movies ever made, like in history. The George Lucas, and there's a great quote in the beginning documentary where he says, "It's gonna work. I know it's gonna work because it's impossible." Like that was his mindset.
Yeah,
he was like, and they were talking about how he said there was 12 things, the joke was there's like 12 things that have never been done before in a movie. Most movies, you get one of those things. You get one of those things that this has never been done in a movie, so we focused on this. He goes, Phantom Menace had maybe about 12 things that have never been done in a movie. So you solve one issue, but now, and you're like, we did it. And now you got to apply that to the next thing that has never been done in a movie. The Phantom Menace is one of those films that, like, I'm pretty sure years from now they will study it, the production of that, because it makes no sense that movie worked. And there's those clips of when they're watching the pod racing and they're like, it's got to look better than this. And you're like, that is like the greatest looking clip ever. And anyways.
Yeah. And even in the beginning part of that documentary, the beginning, young John Knowles, like, there's not a real good way for us to do that right now. And I think he was talking about like the Gungan battle and having like all those elements on the screen. And I mean, George was like, I'm going to put my producer hat on and tell me how much it's going to cost. I don't care who pays for it. And it's like, oh my gosh. And yeah, they just did what they set out to do when it was never done before. It wasn't possible. And I think that's a great thing to live by.
Yeah, he was like, okay, so we got to chop droids in half. All right, so we got to create a program for the lightsaber to slice through.
And I mean, it's it's almost like a little bit of a cheat code when you have the guy that created Photoshop there.
But he was mentioning things he was like, so we have to figure out a way to cut the battle droid in half. It has to melt and fall, and then when it falls, we have to then create another algorithm for how the weight of it is when it falls. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, it just hit me that was never done before in a movie. Like, just that little piece of film was never done before. And then you get to the pod racing, which was still to this day amazing.
And that guy, John Knoll, he's here in Japan with us.
Yeah, he's here. He was on stage. I got to see him. Wow. I was like, John Knoll, man, that dude, he's Sam Whitwer was like, you're ILM, man. He's like, he's like the Dennis Muren now of ILM. And it's pretty awesome. But anyways, back to Deadpool. I'm just joking. The 20th animation panel was really great because it's 20 years of animation. Talked about how they did Clone Wars. We also got to see a really badass animatic of a sequence that was done, of a whole story arc that they were going to do that they never did, which was the Cad Bane training Boba Fett arc.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there was a whole arc they were going to do of Cad Bane training Boba Fett to be who he is, and they had a sequence. They said, we've never shown this sequence before. It's
fully
not
animated.
No, that was the key.
Okay.
He said this was an animatic we did previs, if you may, and I forget, they had a few sound effects, a couple of actors did the voices, and he was like, this has never been shown before. We found it. And he goes, and sometimes we watch it just for fun because it was such a fun thing to think about. And so the footage is Cad Bane and Coruscant, like in an alleyway, like hovering, like they're high up. And you see Boba Fett flying, wearing the full Mandalorian armor, and Anakin is chasing after him, and they're shooting at each other. Boba Fett's turning around with his blaster on his wrist, going shooting at him. Anakin is shooting at him, and they're flying between cars. It was an exciting sequence. And then he catches, he blows up Anakin's speeder. Anakin flips off. Boba Fett hits him, and they fall far down. And he like smashes Anakin to the ground. And it was like, people went like, whoa, like it was a badass move that Boba Fett pulled on him. And then he kicks off Boba Fett. Boba Fett shoots that rope around him like he does with Luke. And I mean, it was a cool sequence. And at the very end, Boba Fett escapes. And when it ended, everybody was like, good God, that looks pretty amazing. So I was really glad I got to see that sequence that they said they've never shown anybody before. So maybe one day we'll see it. I don't know. And then we saw the first episode of Tales of the Underworld with Asajj Ventress. And I'm not going to tell you what it was because it was the full episode. I don't want to spoil it. But I'm going to tell you this. It was really cool. It was a very, very, very cool sequence. Not a sequence, a very, very cool first episode. And it started off surprising. I'm not going to tell you how it started off, but it started off with a really cool reveal. And I was like, oh, crap, this is cool. And then they did the announcement, which was, okay, we talked about the past. We talked about the present. What is there for the future? And they dropped a trailer, and of course the animation for Star Wars is just getting better and better because this show looked sick. And it's Darth Maul and it's called I forgot the name. What was the name of it?
Maul Shadow Warrior.
Yeah, Maul Shadow Warrior. I got excited at first because I thought we were finally getting our Maul Crimson Dawn show.
And we still haven't gotten it. They're dancing all around
was-
that.
yeah.
It's interesting.
When I saw Maul coming down, I was like, oh my gosh, we're getting Crimson Dawn finally. And nope. I was waiting to see Kira pop up in there. Nothing. But this show looks pretty sick. It looks really, really great. There's kind of a mix with rumors going around because Rebel Scum pointed out online, they said coming in August. But then
No, I think they're making reference to their convention.
okay, good. Because Sam
This
Witwer
comes out in 2026.
Sam
right?
Witwer said it's coming out in 2026, and Sam Witwer, of course, is the voice of Maul. And they did the whole Palpatine thing, which was after the trailer showed the camera, the lights turned on, and there's Sam Witwer standing on the stage looking like a boss, and then he goes in his Darth Maul voice, "Play it again," like,
Oh,
and
geez.
it's like play the trailer again for us. It was so cool, and then we all got tickets, and I got to go get this, which is the Lucasfilm 20th anniversary poster. And if you look, I mean, I can try to get as close as I can, but look at all these people on it. Every character from every project.
That's pretty cool with the Bendu's all huge on there.
And what was really cool was Filoni said, he was like, I looked at so many versions of this picture, and he goes, and I felt like Kylo Ren because I would just be going more. Like he goes, we need more people on this poster. And so yeah, so he wanted more people, and it worked, and it looks really great. Getting the poster was a whole nightmare and a half.
And while all this was going down, I had no idea it was going down. I was at the Celebration store, finally buying this T-shirt.
Oh, this is great. Good. That's a pretty dope shirt, man.
Yeah.
I love it. Noah asked, where did the Maul show seem to take place in the timeline? It takes place after Clone Wars, before Rebels.
They said specifically, yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be before he gets to Rebels, before he's a crazy person. But yeah, the animation of Maul, man, like it's getting better and better. He looks freaking amazing.
And it's Witwer voicing him, right?
Yep.
Oh my
Definitely.
gosh.
Total Witwer. And so yeah, that was a nice highlight.
That's why Rebel Scum said what they said, because Sam Witwer's going to be there. Rebel Scum Con.
In August.
Yeah,
Okay.
now that all kind of
Okay.
makes sense.
But yeah, so that show's coming out in 2026. I mean, personally, I was hoping for the Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Leia show, but
they're not going to do
they're
what
never
we
gonna do
say.
it. They're never gonna do that, unfortunately. But yeah, and then David was like, "You hungry?" And I said, "I'm very hungry," because I looked at the clock and it was 5:30, and we hadn't eaten all day. And so we came
Yeah.
back to the hotel and we just had dinner not too long ago. So that was
Great pizza downstairs.
Oh my god, so good! And
Fantastic.
apparently they ran out of pizza.
Yeah, James had the last pie
Oh,
and angered.
they gave us these. These are the wristbands that you put on that light up.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool thing, dude.
And so yeah, so during the panel for Mandalorian, like whenever they showed the trailer, like the lights would react to it. So like when Palpatine shot his lightning, all of them turned like
I was gonna say the sizzle reel they showed when Jar Jar lifts his head up between the two pod racing engines and gets the whole like shock from the purple electricity. Our bracelets turned purple at that moment.
it was cool.
And then it just shut off, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's
it
a
was
nice
pretty.
touch."
It was pretty cool. I'm glad we got to.
Yeah.
They did that. But overall, pretty good first day. Very crowded because it's a pretty big convention hall, but it's actually also kind of small at the same time. So when you have a lot of people in there, it's kind of overwhelming. I'm not gonna lie. You didn't go to the show floor today, so you didn't see like.
Well,
it
I
was-
walked through there to go to the Galaxy stage,
but no, you didn't see it like when people were like waiting in line.
Well, that's all lines, man.
It was there are a lot of people here. It is a very, very busy convention. And I was under the impression that maybe it was going to be a little bit smaller because of the fact that it was in Japan, but there are quite a few people here. So yeah.
A decent showing.
Yeah.
Really decent. If you remember back to London, the Star Wars live stage, there was a certain amount of people. It's maybe 2 or 3 times larger than that.
Yeah.
The people just like around hanging out. And yeah, it's a little shocking.
Oh, and they're actually showing the panels on the Star Wars show stage this year. In Anaheim, and I believe in Europe, they did not show the panels on the
Colin said
stage.
some of it was kind of glitching out.
Oh, well, damn.
So,
But I was really surprised about that. And getting the poster was a nightmare. They just had us all going this one direction, and it was crazy. And then
I
somebody,
hate that. Just
somebody
have them
yelled,
at the actual panel.
yeah. Remember with the Leia poster?
Yeah, they just put tables out, put the boxes,
and
cut
they
them
just
open.
hand them right to
Yeah.
us. But yeah, we were all leaving and are trying to get in there, and then they were like, "There's one way out this way," and they said one way out. So what happens? Everybody started screaming, "One way out! What?" And I tried to get a video of it, but everybody stopped at that point. But it was really funny. But overall, pretty good day. I got to see 3 panels. I'm sorry, but I got to see 3 panels. I was really happy about it. Tomorrow is Andor and Ahsoka. Both of those are very, very much anticipated. I think Ahsoka maybe a little bit more because I believe people are expecting to get either a trailer or some really great news about season 2 of Ahsoka. And Andor, of course, people are excited for because Andor is amazing. I just recently
Filoni said something about like shooting season 2, and I'm like, hasn't it already been shot?
I think he's still working on
Like reshoots or planned reshoots?
might be planned reshoots because he said Carrie Beck was in. Oh, you didn't hear that part, but yeah, Carrie Beck is in London right now preparing for shooting of Ahsoka, which is why she wasn't here for Celebration.
Okay.
So when he's done, he's going to London,
and that's
and he's gonna start production there
that's
in
so
London.
far away.
Yeah, I know, but so yeah, they're still shooting parts of Ahsoka, whether or not it's reshoots or if it's still the production of it. We don't know, but yeah, so that was the news that we heard today as well. But yeah, so the season 2 Andor panel, and I think a lot of people are expecting we're gonna get the first episode or the first 2 episodes tomorrow night, like they did with Obi-Wan Kenobi. So that would be really, really
It
cool.
would be nice if it was the first 3 because you're gonna get 3
Yeah.
every night.
Yeah, but man, because the convention closes at 6, and the episodes are almost an hour long, so
It'll be about an hour and a half.
Yeah, so you'll be It could work.
Ish.
It could work. but here's the thing: they're not going to probably start it right at 6. They're probably going to start right at 7, and it's going to be anyways. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. I have a reservation for the Twin Sun stage. Anyways, you didn't hear that part. But yeah, so I'm gonna go. I'm definitely going to see the panel. David is going to do something crazy tomorrow.
What?
You got to sneak in.
No, they know us. They know the Star Wars Stuff podcast.
Okay,
so
yeah. Oh yeah, totally. They know us.
We'll just flash them the business card.
Exactly. But yes, we have quite a few people watching. Thank you for watching this. Japan has been crazy. I've been here since last Thursday, trying to make my way through Japan. And it felt like today and yesterday was the first days that I actually got on the sleeping schedule of Japan. It's taken me a long time to finally be awake at night and not wake up at 1 a.m. fully awake. David, I don't know how he's functioning because he flew in yesterday morning. And
well, it's Celebration, James. I mean, that's kind of what we live for.
Yeah, true. And from the rumors that we've been hearing, we're not going to have Celebration next year, so you'll probably be hearing about us in 2027. My hair is going crazy here, guys, and I'm sorry. It's long. Yesterday we went somewhere and the wind was just blowing like crazy. It was
But if there's not going to be a Celebration in 2026, there's going to be Rebel Scum Con in August in North Texas. I'll be there. Colin will be there. Hopefully James will be there. And Space Con in October.
That's right. Space Con's
Billy
gearing
D.
up.
Williams was just announced.
Mhm.
I think Bob is going to announce a couple more or 3 Star Wars actors.
Nice.
So, and he mentioned Mark Hamill was I guess asked, and he said he had a scheduling conflict. So Bob is still trying to get Mark Hamill. Hopefully he gets people that haven't been to SpaceCon, and I think he mentioned a possible actor that hasn't done a convention, and he's famous for that. So there's potentially 2 big Star Wars conventions here coming up shortly.
So yeah, and then they're both going to be in Texas, so you just come and visit us in Texas.
Yeah, you can see us.
But yes, thank y'all so much for watching. Means the world to us. We miss America, but we're glad that we're here in Japan as well.
I just got here, so I don't miss it that much.
And we just want you to know, like, oh yeah, we got to thank our awesome top tier patrons: Darth Ace One, Liam McCallan, Chris Simpson, Kevin Laniger, Devin McCaffrey, Drew Peters, Zach Netzel, Maya Morris, Maka Tatala, Adam Haber, Brad Mackey. I'm sorry, I'm reading really slow. Front Row King, Darth Beard, Indiana Solo, Mariana Atia Arnold, how's that one say?
Yeah, I just say Rest
Jedi 27 and Alex Blundell. Thank y'all so much for supporting us, and thank you so much for being a part of our crazy little podcast that we have here.
And shout out to a guy. So this is weird. There was a guy that we met picking up our badges. He has, I'm not sure if this is public knowledge, but he has the same name as Colin's future son. So I told Colin maybe he visited us and from a time machine.
That is weird.
Wouldn't that be crazy if that was actually him?
That is weird. I don't like that at all, man. That weirds me out.
So the weird thing too was he just struck up a conversation with us. He didn't know who we were.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of told him about the podcast, and he was like, "Oh yeah," and he just talked to us like he knew us.
I love it.
Back to the Future stuff right there.
He was like, "Oh, I've heard of you. I heard of you." And I met a guy today named, oh my gosh, what was his name? Alistair, I think his name was. And I mentioned and he goes, "I've heard of you," and I was like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, Star Wars stuff. Yes, I know you." And then he was like, I've heard y'all before. And that blew me away. He's from New Zealand. And I was like, whoa, that is bizarre. I met one of David's friends yesterday. And David's like, oh, he's on the podcast. And he was like, oh, yes, I've heard your voice. And I'm just like, that's weird for somebody to say.
Yeah, yeah.
They're like, oh, I've heard your voice. And I'm like,
yeah, Patrick. I didn't know he listened.
Yeah, that was nice.
He is, he's one of those Star Wars fans that he is very, very passionate, has a lot of like screen accurate costumes for Star Wars. And I never knew he listened to us.
That was nice.
That was surprising.
And then
let alone remember me, because we trooped together.
Mm-hmm.
One of my first troops, he was actually a snow trooper, and I was, of course, my TIE pilot. And that's where I met him, and he's a pretty cool guy. He's moved away since then, but a really, really cool guy. He goes to a lot of concerts.
And he gave us a really nice compliment, which is probably the best compliment any podcaster can get, which was, you have very nice voices. And I was like,
aside from the Texas
means a lot
accents,
we're not going to talk about that. but yes, again, thank you all so much for watching. We're going to be back tomorrow night with our day 2 recap.
Yeah, by the way, I still have all these badges to sell. Oh, I did that like perfectly.
That was pretty cool. Oh yeah, we got these stickers that we're giving away to people at celebrations. So it's pretty exciting. But yeah, we have a bunch of badges.
We got the stinking badges.
I got greens. I'm just kidding. Anyways, thank y'all so much. We'll be back again tomorrow.
More badges in this pocket
with another awesome topic. Be sure to check us out on Instagram, Star Stuff, SW Stuff Podcast. Colin is doing amazing. He is posting things pretty much right away. I
think it's actually now Star Wars Stuff Pod.
Oh, Star Wars Stuff Pod.
Yeah, we just haven't changed it here.
So
Colin just recently changed it.
Look it up, Star Wars Stuff Pod. Like I said, he's doing a really great job keeping everybody posted. If you want to do the rest,
yeah. So you can find us also on X Stuff Pod, also on Blue Sky. I posted there a couple times. Star Wars. You just search up Star Wars Stuff Podcast. Also on Threads, Star Wars Stuff Podcast, and of course on Patreon. You have helped support us. Buy these mics we're talking on. We've interviewed a few people with these. The pod track here that's actually helping us record. We can see our levels. And probably all of our future equipment that all the new inventions that are going to roll out.
Yeah, we're gonna be updating. Hopefully soon, updating a lot of our equipment and everything. And because of you patrons, we're able to do that. And thank you so much for your support. For all of that.
You essentially paid for dinner tonight.
Yes. So it was great. So we thank you so much. It was fantastic. It really means a lot to us.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was fun.
Yeah.
That we get to podcast in person again.
Day 1 is in the books. Day 2 tomorrow. We got the big Andor panel, the last Andor panel, and we have the Ahsoka season 2 panel. 2 big panels, probably trailers, episodes from Andor. So hopefully some announcements, maybe some shocking announcements.
I'm excited for that. Really excited for that.
So thank you so much to everyone out there. My name is David.
My name is James.
And may the force be with you.
Always.